Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my crystal bead bracelets. You can use this technique with any kind of different beads, but I like to use crystal beads because that's how I sell them. I'll show right now a few examples of bracelets that I've made before just to kind of show you what you're getting into and why I make them the way that I do. Alright, so I'm wearing at least 6 different ones that I've made so far. It's a bunch of different crystals. Like this one is lava rock rhodonite. This one is malachite. This one is unakite with quartz. All sorts of different stuff. So this is just kind of what they look like when they're done. Alright, so these are the materials that you're going to need to gather to make a bracelet. Not all of them are mandatory. I'm going to real quick show you which ones I use personally and which ones are the ones that you definitely will need to make a bracelet. Okay, so the things that you definitely need for this are obviously beads of your choice. I'm going to be using lava rock and amethyst for this one. I'm also adding some beads that kind of go in between them to space them out. These are white, I think, check glass beads. You're also going to need a pair of scissors to cut the string, and obviously you're going to need your string. I use this brand because I like it. Now, when I said gather materials and I showed you kind of all the materials that I use, personally I add a couple of things to make it easier for me when I do make bracelets. This right here is a bracelet kind of like measurement board. So you place the beads in the slots and it shows you how big your bracelet is going to be so you can pick your size. Alongside that, I also use dental flossers to kind of help thread the beads onto the string. I also use this, which is a bead stopper, and you clamp it onto the string so that the beads don't fall off while you're putting them on. And last but not least, I like to use little metal beads to cover up the knot in the string when you're all done and you tie it up. Alright, so for this bracelet I'm going to be using the 7-inch center line because that's my size. And the first thing I do is I lay out all of the beads on the tray just so that I have all my materials ready to set it up and make sure that I've got everything on the board. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is add this stopper bead, just so that I know where the bracelet ends and starts so I can make sure the pattern is okay. Then we're going to add our primary color, which is going to be the amethyst. So I'm going to real quick set up what that pattern would look like and I'll be right back. Alright, so that's what it's going to look like in the very beginning, just to kind of space it out. And now I'm going to add the lava rock in there. Alright, now we've got the lava rock in there and it's time to add in the white spacer beads. Alright, so I've added in these white spacer beads, and as you can see there's a little gap in between this, which would be the start and end of the bracelet, and where this pattern ends. So I set this aside to add on at the end of it, just to make sure that I would rather have a bracelet that's a little bit bigger than a little bit smaller than it should be. So yeah. Okay, and now real quick we're going to cut the string. What I like to do, oops, sometimes it's kind of hard to find the start and the end of these. It's like a roll of tape. What I like to do is I like to double up on my string. So just so that I'm not worried about the weight of the beads or the bracelets or anything. So when I take the string off of this, I make it a little bit longer than it should be, because I'd rather have too much room than not enough. Alright, so I've got my string, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 front ends, I'm going to put them together in one hand, and I'm just going to make sure that it's folded and that it would be long enough for a bracelet. This is a pretty good size. This might be a little bit too big. Alright, so now I'm going to take a dental flosser. This is one of the things that you usually use for getting floss underneath like a permanent retainer or your braces. And I'm going to find the top where I've just folded it, and I'm going to slide it onto one of those strings and then let it fall onto the bend. So it should come out looking like that. Alright, so once you've done that, I'm going to take my bead stopper and I'm going to find the 2 loose ends, and I'm going to open it up like that, kind of like a weird spring, and then just clamp the string in between that. So now you'll have the bead clamper on one side of the string and the flosser on the other side. Alright, so now it's time. You take the flosser, or if you want to thread it yourself with your fingers, totally fine either way. What I do is I put on the little metal bead first, just so that I know kind of which way the pattern is going to go, and I'll know which way is the start and the beginning, and it makes it a lot easier. But at this point you've got your pattern, you've got all your beads, you're just going to floss them or thread them onto your string and keep the pattern that you had on the table and just thread it on and push it all the way to the bottom where that bead stopper is, and then just keep going until you get all the beads on there. Alright, so I've finished up putting all of the beads onto the string. You notice I've got a lot of extra room on there. That's going to be good for tying it. What I'm going to do at this point is just kind of shuffle all of the beads into the middle of the string, and then at this point I'm going to cut this end to take the flosser off. So I will be right back. The flosser has been freed. Alright, so now we've got this and we've got this loose end, and then the clamper, we're just going to take that right off. Boom. Alright, and the next step is basically just to tie it. I like to tie it 3 or 5 times just to make sure that it's secure, because all of those knots are going to be hidden under that stopper bead at the end there. So yeah, I usually just do just a little simple crossover knot, just 3 or 5 times. Sometimes I do it a lot more just because I've had a couple of strings break on me, but that also happens if you tie them way too tight, so be careful. I'm on my 3rd knot right now. I'm just going to do 5 for this one just to be totally sure that it's secure. That rhymed. But yeah, it's really simple process. I use a couple of tools that make it easier for me. Making a bracelet, that is, not tying the knot. Going in for a 6 knot. But yeah, you can use this with any beads, any kind of string, and voila, we've got a bracelet. Now all I have to do is cut this string off. I like to leave a little bit of extra room, like kind of about there. I have a little bit of a knot showing, but it should be fine. So now at this point I'm going to take that knot and slide that metal bead right over the top of it, and it will stick out a little bit, but honestly it's pretty cute. And then you just wear it. Goes right along with this one. That's basically it. That's how I make a bracelet. I hope you enjoyed the video.